allesammans. Today we are speaking a little bit about rune magic, and I'm going to be speaking about we may have some spells here that we find from later on in Scandinavia that survived, some pagan runic magic that survived a long time after the official Christianization of Scandinavia. So I'll go into it right here. As a lot of you know about rune magic, we find a lot of amulets and bractets and archaeological digs found in Scandinavia and even Germany and other parts of the Germanic-speaking world. We find them from the Viking Age and even before that. And they're inscribed with runes, and it is absolute gibberish. And I'll show you a couple examples here. This one is the Lindholm amulet. You see some runes here. Now let's see what this looks like when we translate that into the Roman alphabet. Asnbmut. So, absolute gibberish. That's not English, that's not Old Norse, that's not any language that has ever been spoken. Okay, let's look at another one here. This is the Vadstena Brektet. It says Tua. And we'll go for one more here. This is the Undli Brektet, and it says Goga. That's what it says. And again, this is not language, it's not Old Norse, it's not any Germanic language. So most scholars agree that these necklaces were used for some type of magical purpose. They had runes inscribed, and they kept it as a necklace hanging by their chest, and they believed to have some sort of magical power. Now there are quite a bit more of these actually, and I will go over all of those in detail in another video. But in this video, I just wanted to show a few magical spells from magic books, maybe 1,000 years later in Scandinavia, that are incredibly similar. So here's one here. Abagap. This one was recorded in Norway in the 1700s, and you were supposed to write this in your hand and take a woman by the hand and then touch her tits, and then she was supposed to fall in love with you if you did that. So in the magic book, it specifically instructed you to write these runes in your hand. Write these runes, it says, 1,000 years after runes were used as writing. Maybe not 1,000, maybe about 700 years, because they kind of stopped using that when Christianity came. But yeah, they specifically call them runes, and there's no way to trace this back to pagan times, of course, but this just, organization of letters and absolute gibberish makes it look very similar to the rune amulets used for magical purposes in pagan times. So here's another. Agalat Estnu. This one was also recorded in Norway in the 1700s, and if you wrote these in your hand with blood and touch your girlfriend or wife's hand, she will confess if she has cheated on you. So again, absolute gibberish, these words. It's not Norwegian, it's not Latin, it's not any language, so where does it come from? Here's another. These, you were supposed to carve these actually into an amulet, and it would protect you from cuts and projectiles. Dabi, Habi, Haberi, Hereri, Heberi. This is very interesting because it is gibberish, and it was supposed to be written on an amulet, actually, and kept on the chest, just like they were used in ancient pagan times for magical purposes. So very cool there. Another gibberish thing that's instructed you to actually carve it on an amulet, like they would have used in pagan times. Let's go over one more here. What does this say? Lola, Alila, Ai, Ig. De alias. These, it was recorded in a magic book, I think in Sweden in the 1700s, and you were supposed to write these and keep it on yourself, and nobody could keep you captive. Maybe you write it on a piece of leather or parchment or something like that. Now, these last two that I went over, the last one for protection and this one that would prevent you getting kept captive, these were specifically meant for war. And we know that pagans have used spells for exactly these purposes in war. Think of in Odin's 18 spells from Havamal. He speaks about these exact things, that he knows a spell to do this. And the most famous one found from somewhere else in Germany actually is the Merseburg Charm, which is actually a song to sing to keep you from being captured and binded with chains in battle. So these inscriptions found in the 17 and 1800s in Scandinavia are eerily similar actually to the amulets with runic magic that were found maybe 1,000 years or more earlier in time. And I only went over a few here. There are a lot more. Scandinavian magic books, we start to see records of those from about the 1500s. And many of these are filled with just gibberish groups of random letters for certain magic purposes, and nobody really knows what they mean or where they came from. So of course there's no way to be sure that these are from pagan times originally, but there is maybe a good chance of it. We do know for sure that much pagan magic survived after the official Christianization of Scandinavia. We can see some spells that have survived 1,000 years. We have quite a few examples of this actually. Yes, they would have been Christianized and changed over time, but they do stem from pagan originals. Now, I'm not sure 100% if these gibberish runes that we went over in this video are the same, but it very well could be. I haven't heard any better explanations as to where they may come from, so this video is just for fun. If you like, you can try some of these out, but I would not recommend that first one where you're supposed to grab a girl's tits to make her fall in love with you. That probably won't work, and it might get you arrested. But the others, feel free to give them a try, and even write it in runes if you want. If you like that and you've tried it and you have any success, you can let us know. Love to hear about that. Vi ses nästa gång.